What's up, YouTube? It's Team Money. Today we're going to be looking at college football week 12. And with the second week of the college football playoff rankings, we're actually going to take a look at the top 5. So the first 4, the 4 that are in, and then the first 2 that are out. So starting off, number 1 is LSU. LSU coming off that win over Alabama, knocking Alabama down. But how far down did they go? We'll find out. I'm just going to take these off because I cannot deal with the glare. Number 2, we have Ohio State, respectively. They didn't have that good of an opponent, so you can't really give them the top spot, which is respectable. And number 3, the disrespect. Clemson was originally out of the college football playoff at starting rankings. The disrespect, and now they're back in it with the win last week and Alabama losing. It puts them at 3. Number 4 is Georgia. Georgia, yes, they had the stunning loss to South Carolina a couple weeks ago. But, yeah, they're lucky to even have this spot. I think they even looked at that and be like, they lost to a team that actually was pretty good. And then the first 2 out, we're going to do number 6, which is the Oregon Ducks, the Big O. And it made you look. Just kidding. Yeah, Oregon. Oregon's just their one loss. I'm actually going to take a look real fast. Their one loss was to Auburn at the beginning of the year, which you really can't count that because considering that they're number 6 this week, they were only number 11 back when that happened. So you really cannot count that against them. So yeah, Oregon being at number 6. So that means who's at number 5? The first team out. I even said that their playoff chances might be screwed if they lose to LSU. They did, and now they have a weak schedule except for one game. And that is the Alabama Crimson Tide, and that one game is the Auburn Tigers in the Iron Bowl 2 weeks from now. So yeah, that is the top 5. We will talk about the rest of the rankings as we pick the games. We're going to start with the newly ranked number 5 Alabama Crimson Tide. They go to Mississippi State to take on the Bulldogs. Alabama's an 18.5 point favorite. Alabama, if they play like they played against LSU, they're going to win this game. Yes, they got outplayed by LSU, but that's just because it's LSU. You can't really compare that to any other team. And Alabama is favored by 87.2% to the matchup predictor. So I'm going to give Alabama the win. Even though I don't like Alabama, I think Alabama's going to win this game. Next up, we have the number 9th ranked Penn State Nittany Lions, at the Indiana, hosting the Indiana Hoosiers. Penn State coming off a very tough loss to the Minnesota Golden Gophers just last week. I think they bounce back and they actually win against Indiana. Indiana is 7-2. They're bowl eligible with a 4-2 conference record. So their only 2 losses were in conference play. Don't count out that Indiana does pull off an upset. Because Indiana, yes, they haven't played any good teams yet, but I mean, they've played enough games so that they gets them bowl eligible. Wasn't Indiana the one that beat Wisconsin? No, that was Illinois. Okay. Yeah, one of their losses was to Ohio State, third game of the year. But yeah, you really can't count that against them in a shot at a Big Ten championship. Well, actually you can, because it's conference play. So ignore what I just said. So yeah, I'm going to give Penn State the win on this game. Next up, we've got Florida and Missouri. A really good matchup that's going down for real down in Missouri. I apologize. Florida, Missouri. Missouri is underdogged by 6.5. I think Missouri does pull off this upset. Actually, what am I kidding? Are you kidding? Why am I saying that? Missouri's had a really bad conference play this entire year. I think Florida does pull this one off. They're 5-2 in conference play. Missouri's only 2-3. They've got a couple games they gotta get under their belt. So yeah, I think that what was I saying? Florida is gonna actually pull off this win. Next up, Wisconsin, Nebraska. This game is gonna be one-sided. What am I kidding? Wisconsin, Nebraska. This is too one-sided of a game. You can't pick against the Badgers. They just beat Iowa, forcing them to go up just a tad bit in the rankings. I believe that's what it did. Hopefully. No, actually they dropped. Oh, because Minnesota won. That's why. So yeah, Wisconsin only dropping by 1, and Minnesota's going up 9, which is the biggest jump that's happened. So you gotta remember that. That's the biggest jump that happened. Actually, need you guys over just a bit. There we go. Now I'm looking here. So next up, we got Michigan and Michigan State. The battle for the state of Michigan. I don't even know what this rivalry is called. It's an in-state rivalry. That's all I can call it. So I'm gonna say, the last time this game was in Michigan, if I remember, if it was this game, it was Michigan State getting a lucky punt return off of a failed snap that Michigan was going to punt the ball away to basically seal the game. Or basically force the game into overtime. I don't remember what happened. But all I remember is Michigan State ended up running the ball back and scoring a touchdown on a muffed snap. That's all I remember. But yeah. Michigan's ranked. I'm going to give Michigan the win out of this game. Going down the line. Every top 25 team is playing this week, so this is going to be a little bit of a long video, and I apologize for that. Next up, we got Kansas and Oklahoma State. Kansas hasn't had a really good year this year. It's been up, it's been down. They're 3-6. If they lose this week, there's no way they're going to be able to come bowl eligible. And I think they actually miss out on the bowls this year. I'm going to give Oklahoma State the win. Next up, first battle in the top 25, Navy and Notre Dame. Really good matchup between the midshipmen and the Fighting Irish. This game will be on NBC. This is the only 1:30 game going on. Just a quick heads up. I'm gonna give Notre Dame the win on that, and give me just 1 second, guys. And we are back. Sorry, I just had to take a quick couple-minute breather. So, moving on, if I can get my iPad open. Okay. I was open like that. So we just did Navy and Notre Dame. Next up, we'll have Ohio State and Rutgers. I'm not even going to be picky on who's going to win this game. Ohio State's favored by 52 points. Yeah, so I'm going to give number 2 ranked Ohio State the win on this game. Next up, the Demon Deacons travel to Clemson, and they're going to be blown up by 60 points. That's my prediction. I'm going to gun through like the obvious ones here. All right, next up, we have Memphis and Houston. Memphis only favored by 10.5. I think they won by 3 touchdowns. That's my guess. Next up, oh yeah, by the way, Ohio State Rutgers is started at 2:30 games. So, next up, we have West Virginia, Kansas State. First Big 12 matchup of the week. For prediction-wise, well, my prediction-wise, I should say. We've got Kansas State coming off the loss to Texas, I think. I believe so, and they got knocked down to 24. They're favored by 13.5 over West Virginia, a struggling West Virginia team. I'm going to give Kansas State the win, though. That's my prediction. Next up, this one's just going to be a quick one. LSU, Mississippi State, or Ole Miss. LSU's favored by 21 points. Number 1, obviously, you know who I'm going to pick. It's going to be LSU. Next up, we have Cincinnati and USF. LSU, Mississippi, Ole Miss is the start of the 6 o'clock games. So Cincinnati, USF in Florida. I'm going to give USF the win on this. No, I'm going to give Cincinnati the win, sorry. Next up, we've got the biggest matchup of the Big 12 of the year. Oklahoma just barely escaping the Iowa State offensive attack in the 4th quarter. Going to Waco to take on another team that has escaped multiple losses at the end to take on the Baylor Bears. Battle for who has the dark colored jerseys in the Big 12 championship. Who is this one going to be? Or coming back to this one. Next up, Appalachian State, Georgia State. We're just going to skip on to this one because Appalachian State's going to win this one. Next up, we have UCLA and Utah. Now, everyone's been talking about this game like it's going to be a really good game. Guys, this is a rivalry. Practically. UCLA, a couple years ago, pulled off the fake spike and beat Utah. I think it was. It was either Utah or Stanford. Don't know which one. But they pulled off the fake spike and won the game on the next play. Well, on that play, basically. But this time it's in Utah. I'm going to give Utah the Utes the win. Next up, the 6th-ranked Oregon Ducks hosting the Arizona Wildcats. The one of two 9:30 games. Sorry, I heard something going on over there. So Oregon, Arizona. I'm gonna give Oregon the win. This week isn't gonna be as fun because it's all gonna be like easy picks. Because now we're on to the New Mexico, University of New Mexico, and Boise State at Boise State. I'm going to give Boise State the win. And now we're on to the Iowa games. So, the first game is at 2:30, Texas and Iowa State. Y'all be wondering, why are you not in Ames? Couldn't afford to go to the game, unfortunately. So this game is not, so like I said, this video is not going to be in Ames. This video is going to be in the comfort of my own home. So, Texas and Iowa State. Texas just barely beat Kansas State. And Iowa State just barely lost to Oklahoma. A team they beat 2 years ago in Norman. I think Iowa State does pull this win off. Judging the fact that Texas, yes, they're a game ahead of Iowa State. Don't get me wrong about that. It's just that Texas has not played any really good football lately. Looking back at their old schedule here, I'm actually going to take a look real quick. Hold on one second. Looking back at their old schedule, so looking at Texas' schedule, beat Louisiana Tech easily, 45-14. Next week, goes hosts LSU and ends up losing to now the number 1 ranked team in the nation. Just want to point that out. So that's kind of, you done messed up, you could have been there. Texas went to Rice, beat them easily. And now we get to conference play. And this is where their play started to falter. Oklahoma State, they only won by 6 points. West Virginia, yes, it was more of a win, but they only won by 11 points. That's still 2 scores. No matter how you look at it, that is still 2 scores. Could be, yeah, it's 2. Goes to the Cotton Bowl to take on Oklahoma. They lose by a touchdown. Then they host Kansas, winning by only a safety. Then they go to Fort Worth, lose to TCU. Then they host Kansas State and only win by 3. You see the trend here? They haven't played teams like Iowa State, who has played a really tough schedule before all this. Yes, Iowa State, all their losses were at least 1-point losses. And at most 2 points. Except for their one game that they had against Oklahoma State, which was a touchdown, I think. I'm going to look at that. Hold on. Yes, it was a touchdown. So, yes, all of their losses. Iowa was only a 1-point loss. Baylor was a 2-point loss. Oklahoma State was a 7-point loss. Oklahoma was a 1-point loss. Iowa State is there. Give them a couple more years. They'll be Big 12 contenders. They'll be the top dogs of the Big 12 here soon. I'm calling it. You just got to remember that Texas hasn't played Iowa State yet fully. That's why I'm picking my boys. The Iowa State Cyclones, to win this football game. And Iowa State's favored heavily. Iowa State's favored by a touchdown. So Iowa State should win this game. Next up, we have the Hawkeyes hosting the 8th ranked Minnesota Golden Gophers. Iowa's favored by a field goal. I don't think Iowa's gonna pull this one off either. every ranked team that Iowa has faced this year, they have lost to. Pulling up their schedule now for you. Going back to the beginning of the year, first 3 games, easy. Actually, first 4 games, easy, except for the Iowa State game. Like I said, they only won by 1 point. First big test was Michigan. Did not come up with even a single end zone pass in that entire game. Michigan stuffed them on every opportunity they had, and Michigan ended up pulling off that win. A week later, hosting Penn State in their gold uniforms. They were cool, by the way. Still, same score as what happened a couple years ago when you guys hosted them. Losing at the tail end. A touchdown won the football game. Practically. They cruised in Purdue against Purdue 26-20. Cruise against Northwestern 20-0. And then you face Wisconsin and come up a field goal short. All 3 of your guys' big losses were against big opponents. Michigan, Penn State, and Wisconsin. By the way, just want to point out, all 3 of those teams that I mentioned have lost another football game to teams that Iowa has yet to face. Iowa won't get to play one of them. Actually, Wisconsin beat Michigan. Penn State lost to Minnesota, who they're playing this week. And Wisconsin lost to Illinois, which they're playing later on this year. So Iowa is going to be playing every team that all 3 of these teams that I've mentioned have lost to. Except for one. Because the one loss that Michigan had was against a team that they... Well, I mean, yeah. Anyway. I'm carrying on. Anyway, I think Minnesota does pull off this win, though. Because Minnesota was able to beat Penn State. Iowa wasn't. Moving on to the final game of the week. Oklahoma and Baylor. Now, who do I get to put on this week? Will it be a mini wagon? Or will it be a bear head? Now, judging by how both the teams played last week, give me a break. That's all Oklahoma. Because Oklahoma should have beaten Iowa State. Big time. They didn't. Only beat them by 1 point. Baylor should have lost to TCU. They didn't. They won in triple overtime. Baylor, I am sorry, but this is strictly business. Give me the Sooner wagon. Boomer Sooner this week. And by the way, College Game Day will be at this game. And I'm picking the Sooners to win this football game. Baylor should not have won any of the games that they have almost lost to. Texas Tech, they got away with the penalty. Iowa State, they got lucky on a fumble that they recovered. What other game Baylor should have lost? TCU. First of all, you can't go to overtime and expect not to win. They got lucky against TCU. Scrolling through, what other games should they have lost? The West Virginia game. Should have lost that one too. They didn't. Yeah, so those 4 games, they should be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But they should be 5-4 right now. Not 9-0. Big 12, you need to get on this. But yeah, so that's my predictions for this week, guys. What do you guys think of this? If you like the video, give it a like. Maybe subscribe if you're new to the channel. Also, go subscribe to Mystic Blue Queen. She's kind of sleeping. Yeah, she's sleeping. She's my girlfriend. She has a really awesome YouTube channel. Go check her out. We're going to do a little bit of fun things on her channel here soon. We don't know what yet, but we're going to try to. And give her a subscription. Just Mystic Blue Queens. Real easy look up. It's the only one that's up there. You know, I can even prove it to you. See? I'm on the YouTube app, and I'm going to look up Mystic. Let me back up. Hold on. Mystic Blue Queen. And it's right there. It's the first video up. It's the first thing that pops up. This is her channel. Oh. This is her channel. Mystic Blue Queen. Like I said, it's a real simple lookup. You see, it only took me like a couple seconds to do it. Why don't you guys go and do it? She's awesome. I got her into doing YouTube, so go give her a subscription, please, guys. It would do me a favor. It would also do her a favor. So until next time, guys, I'm out of here, y'all. Peace out.